this video, you will learn all about why these 3 Tantalum Atelier Wen Inflections represent a massive milestone for the brand and show a new vision for the future. I would like to introduce you to this watch, which to me, from a distance, looked like a perception by Atelier Wen, but no. Robin, what are we looking at here?
So you're looking at Inflection. The second collection we're releasing this year is the result of more than 3 years of work. It's the result of us hitting our head against walls for a lot of times. But it's really our most ambitious watch to date. It's our flagship piece. It's the one where we went to the max. So I'm super excited to be showing it to you today.
Look, this watch in the hand is an experience that I just feel takes away the need for this video. So given that that's difficult for people, we are going to try and give you the experience of this watch in the hand in this video. But let me tell you, all 3 pieces of this watch are Tantalum, and that is the first thing you notice, in addition to just the general level of finishing. The way this watch feels in the hand. If you've ever seen an Atelier Wen perception in the metal, you'll know that they are lovely pieces with a strong design language, but they are definitely a different proposition in the hand.
Yeah, no, this is something else. We've been working on Tantalum, for Tantalum for ages, for like more than 3 years, and this is really the result of it. Besides us, there's no other brands that like produce Tantalum bracelets on a serial basis. But more than, doing the bracelet, I think what's really cool, as you were saying, is how we finished it. And we really went all in on that. We polished a lot of it, and polishing is the hardest with Tantalum. It's absolutely insane. And also you can note that there's almost no flat surfaces. It's all either convex or concave. It's all very rounded. And that makes it also even harder with Tantalum. And I think part of the reason why we did it was to show that we can, to show that we're not here to take shortcuts when we make Tantalum. The goal is not to make the sort of like simplest Tantalum watch. We want to show that, okay, we can do it the full way. But also, I think when you have those polished surfaces, when you have those like rounded surfaces, you have those kind of like micro reflections that occur. And I think this is really what makes the sort of like gray-blue sheen of Tantalum stand out. And to me, that's the nicest. So we wanted, to make it in Tantalum, but really have the potential of the metal to be fully showcased.
Now, you may have seen this material pop up around. It is definitely the material du jour, but the reason that it remains as mysterious and sort of smoky as the material is itself is because those reasons. You've seen a Journe in Tantalum. We've seen a Louis Vuitton unique piece in Tantalum. We've seen a Ming piece by Shapiro in America in Tantalum. So definitely starting to appear. But look, can you enlighten people about the challenges in this material? Why is it that I've never seen a Tantalum watch finish to this level? If you look at these center links, they're almost like a liquid shine, and they're quite bulbous and cushiony. And then you have this beautiful beveled edge along the bracelet, which seamlessly continues into the case in a polished finish. It's a little bit like what I would say Eco Neutra's done with grade 5 titanium in the Rivenera. We've never seen grade 5 liquid polished, and it makes all the difference. But tell the people what is the struggle to get Tantalum to this level?
So basically the problem with Tantalum is that as soon as you start machining it, it gets very, very sticky. It's a bit like, working on a bubble gum, but the one that has been already chewed and that stick. And you're like trying to CNC your bubble gum. Obviously it's not gonna work. And the problem is that with this stickiness, it sort of like wraps around your tool, like your cutting tool, your CNC ends and whatnot. And it just like destroys it. And then you need to replace the tool and replace it again and replace it again. And that obviously is super costly because we're talking about those like very specialized sort of like machines and equipments and not random stuff. And then also by default, Tantalum is a material that needs a lot of finishing and machining time. So you combine the two of them, it's impossible or close to impossible to machine, and you need a lot of time to make it look good. And that explains why it's like so hard to do and therefore so rare. And I think that's why you don't see bracelets, because doing a case is one thing. And I think there's some awesome like Tantalum cases around, there's Journe, there's Moser. In the past, AP did some pretty good, but with the bracelet, like the difficulty just gets exponential. You have way more surfaces, and what most people don't know is that drilling those holes, this is actually like the real nightmare, because when you try to drill them. You look, you're working on like tiny like surfaces, no tolerances at all. Most of the time it just fails, and then your link is screwed and your tool is screwed, and you need to redo it. And that gives nightmares to our supplier, to ourselves as well. That's really tough.
So this is a watch. And again, sometimes you feel a watch in the hand and think, man, that feels elevated. That feels really fussed over, and that feels beautifully finished. But reassuringly, it isn't just the haptics and the tactility of the watch that is an elevation. This watch is in every way a totally rethought and repositioned Atelier Wen timepiece, and the price reflects that. We're in the high 20s in US dollars.
Yeah.
But the quality carries right through to the movement, which is, in fact, not a Chinese-made movement.
No, so this is like a unique, customized Girard-Perregaux caliber that they make for us, exclusively for us. It's based on the 3300, which is the ultra thin base that some of the brands use. I'm not gonna name them, but quite high-end brands. And then we basically worked with our designer, Alfred in Hong Kong, Sidwan in Switzerland, to basically like redraw the whole movement so that it could be aligned with our cultural DNA. So we shaped the bridges so that they could look like wind in traditional Chinese art. So you have this like very wavy, very swirly appearances. And this went done even to how then we finish them. You can see also those very 3D wavy Côte de Genève that actually are done with a completely different process, which also took some time. At the core, it's a very nice high-performance base. It was made to also look the part and look ourselves. So in the sort of design execution, it's super high there. You have a lot of hand finishing. It's all very careful. GP is one of the longest continuous ever like manufacturing operation. So really, they have the know-how, and you can see it there.
My favorite thing about this movement and the rotor is just how dynamic it is. You have this sort of wave cut pattern, which is skeletonized in the rotor itself. And then, of course, you have these corresponding movement bridges that have been cut to almost cohere with the rotor as it moves.
Actually,
it's
so that,
cool.
you know, they blend together, and it kind of gives the illusion that the spikes of the rotor are sort of like floating or flying on it. And the thing is that the GP is a very thin movement. You're talking like less than 3.3 mm. So we were in a way limited as to what we could do to bring more volume to it. You know, we couldn't use a thicker rotor because then it would just make the movement super thick. So we tried for like tricks to give like the feeling of more depth and volume, and this was one of them.
Now we have 3 dial executions here. We have a midnight blue enamel, we have a black enamel, and then we have this hand-hammered green enamel.
Exactly.
What's your favorite execution? Which one is most Atelier Wen? Which one do you think will be most popular?
So I think that they are quite different.
I'm asking a tough question.
I think so. This one will be like the launch edition, the green one. This one will be hard capped to 30 pieces. I think it's definitely the more dynamic of them all. But personally, the one I prefer is the black, because I think that there's a huge contrast between how simple it looks and how complex it is. We wanted to do something, you know, that would kind of like be sufficient to itself in a way. I mean, for the lack of a better word. So you have this sort of like pitch dark, like black as hell enamel dial, which is not easy to do. It just absorbs all the light.
I thought it was onyx at first.
No, it's and you can see there's no cracks, there's no inclusions. The surface is like super smooth, like very glossy, shiny. But I think the way it captures light, there's just something very powerful to it. And then it elevates the tantalum, it elevates the numerals, it elevates the hands. So to me, this is the best one. Also, you know, I mean, as you said, it's an expensive watch. In the design choices, we wanted to make sure that this is something you would be able to wear 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. So there was this search for timelessness without being boring, which again is not very easy to achieve, because you can put an empty dial, but that's going to be super boring.
I could not agree more. I saw these 3 this morning and immediately gravitated to this. And I think it's the way that this combination of like a super ink black dial with this, I would say it's almost like you're looking at rose gold through a slight smoky haze.
Yeah.
And the way that works then with this particular gunmetal grey with all the finishings, it is just a smoke show. That's the way I'd describe it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely beautiful. What is your production capability? Because we've seen people take on tantalum and only be able to make 4 or 5 bracelets a year. Like, what can we expect from this? Is it going to be order only? How are we going to get them?
No. So fair question. So definitely we're happy that like we can make more than 4 or 5 of them. Like the goal is to really make this an actual series and not just like a fun thought experiment on the side. We think that currently, like our production of the bracelet will be somewhat hand-carved between 90 and 100. That's the latest we have, which is already quite a lot and quite big. So yeah, we expect to make no more than 100 per year. This will be 30 of them. Those 2 won't be LEs per se. We will hopefully be making them next year, the year after, but still within that cap. In terms of how to get them, you know, we're going to be making very few of them. Tantalum is in very high demand, so we really want to make sure that the people who get them, you know, they are going to wear it, they are going to enjoy them, they are not going to flip them. So we will have a very sort of simplified application process that will work as a two-way street. It will also be a way for the people to talk to us, to ask us questions, to see the watches more. And I think this way we'll be able to ensure that they really go to the right wrist and that, well, those people who end up getting them will really enjoy wearing them. Yeah.
I do not own a tantalum watch, but I've decided this is my new stretch target. This has been live from the Watch Discovery Studio in London. This is the kind of thing that can happen. There's still customers in the back when you come in here. Robin, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
And congratulations on the Atelier Wen Inflection, a massive inflection on the perception. Try saying that a few times. Thanks for watching Time+Tide.